Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning into the National Venturing Officer Association's first webinar of the term. We appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening tonight to be with us. Our webinar tonight is actually on venturing crews for troops, which has actually been a very popular interest. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Caitlin Bishop, and I am currently serving as the National Venturing Officer Association Vice President of Program. I'm here with my Associate Advisor, Liz Finley, as well as some guest National Service Territory presenters, whom she will meet very momentarily. The whys. The basis of this webinar is actually built on a series of reasons, or the whys, for the unit cooperation. These reasons will hopefully show you the benefits, the profitable outcomes, and the potential opportunities that await for you and your youth of your unit. So one of the first reasons is the program cooperation with older youth programs and Scouts BSA. I know venturing was the older youth program name that was in the title of the webinar. However, this webinar encompasses all of the older youth programs that work with Scouts BSA units. Cooperation is a very valuable tool that can be used to reach a very common goal. Both parties in this case need to have a willingness to set aside obstructive differences and work together. I've had people tell me about their struggles with their units, especially when it comes time for the units to recruit and retain older youth. There's been a lot of issues with older youth programs and units trying to work in tandem with the Scouts BSA units. And there's also been lots of internal hesitation with the cooperation and especially with Scoutmasters, which here I will actually start to dive into the logistics of this why and the conflict. So there has been continued disinterest with Scoutmasters working with older youth programs. Sometimes they post the older youth programs as a threat to their unit, no matter how long they've been established. One major concern that they worry about is that what's going to happen to the state of their unit, and especially with their youth. Some think that their youth aren't going to come back to their home unit, or they'll be like too busy or too invested and interested in something else. However, this isn't completely true. Scouts should be able to explore their interests and try new things. And I know as what I've been told in my past, that you definitely got to try everything on right until the right shoe fits. From this, we'll be able to see some of the benefits with youth trying out older youth programs and see exactly how they affect them. And here is how and will we now dive into these benefits. The first one is with positive experiences and a chance to fail safely. I'm sure if I were to ask you, what positive experiences or even organizations that you know that don't have any affiliation with your youth schools? Think about that for a minute. Most of you probably wouldn't be able to give me one or two at the very most. And if you are, chances are one of those options is actually going to be scouting related, especially since most of you are obviously involved in the program or have had family involved in the program. Scouting creates a strong, positive environment for youth and allows them to have fun in a very safe manner. Through these different activities that they get to do, they also get to learn how to fail. Sounds wrong, but they get to learn how to fail safely in a safe spot. This concept can also be applied in everyday life, and especially all through scouting. Here they can fail safely in any life task that's given through them and be able to give them the opportunities for leadership and be able to make decisions as adults rather than as minors and delinquents. Through this, they get to develop these skills, which I will now go on to talk in greater detail. So the second one that pops up is actually with leadership flexibility. Older youth programs give youth the ability to take a hold of the reins and be in a controlled environment. Youth get to step up and be the leader in this case. They get to make their own decisions. They get to help lead their peers, all while just getting advice from adults rather than being told directly what to do. Older youth programs give youth the choice of when to have meetings and also how maybe they should style their unit too. For instance, officer roles. So in this case, they design what they want for their unit, and also what officers they want for their unit. And adults typically only step in this case if there's something going wrong that needs to be fixed. When youth work together like this in this manner, um, they get exposed to several different leadership types and are able to bond together. Especially if they're in a small group, they get to understand different types of leadership styles and be able to apply that to their own leadership skills. Youth on youth interactions allows them to advance forward more, both in life and in scouting. Leading into giving the youth flexibility with what they want to do, we look at the scheduling flexibility that also goes in with tandem with everything. I know, as I've mentioned before, youth get to plan everything, which is fantastic. They get to do meetings, leadership styles, events, you name it, and it will probably happen. Basically, we're giving them the option to go about, hey, you want to go do this? Go for it. And we'll just make sure you guys don't do anything wrong, and we'll fix everything else in the process. Youth should also, in this case, not feel pressured, especially when it comes to meetings, having to show up to every single meeting and meet every single expectation. We understand that youth are very busy and they have a lot of time commitments, especially when it comes to school and clubs and other extracurricular things. And most of everything is done at their own pace. So, like for instance, they get to do awards at their own pace. They get to do, as far as the activities, they plan them at their own pace and meet up at their own pace. Keeping everything in mind here, there are 3 well-known advantages and benefits for youth and for the troops especially, with them being involved in the older scout programs. So the obvious one here is with advancements. Once scouts age out of Scouts BSA, they have the choice to continue on with scouting and advancements with the older youth programs if they choose. It's completely up to them. However, if they were to take on the advancements in the older scout programs, they do have that choice. So, like, yes, they can do advancements, or no, they can't. They can just be there for the fun. It's completely up to them. They're also able to work on Eagle while they're in their older youth program unit, as long, obviously, if the project is completely separate from their unit and from their older scout program unit. Another advantage is with the high adventure opportunities. Youth get to do what they want and they get to take on advanced opportunities they wouldn't be able to plan in their own Scouts BSA unit, which is key because it gives them something to look forward to, like fun memories, for example. They get to hold on to those. Those are what allow them to encourage them to keep going, get others motivated to join their unit, and they get everybody else motivated to do the same. And I know that was a lot, a lot of lecturing from myself. But now it's time for you guys to meet our guest speakers of the evening and hear about their scenarios with these conflicts and their advice. So the first one up is Reese.
Hello, everyone. I'm Reese Davies, NST2 president, and I'm just going to go over some solutions to common issues that often arise with Scouts BSA and older youth programs. The first thing I want to emphasize is that units with a strong program do not have to worry about losing youth to venturing. Venturers can often come back to their troop with new ideas because venturing is a completely different program that Scouts BSA. That's not a bad thing. It's complementary. And venturing also offers leadership opportunities beyond the unit that Scouts BSA does not. Scouts BSA does not have youth officers at the council, territory, and national level. So this is a good thing. Venturers can come back with new experiences and new skills and pass those skills on to younger scouts. Venturers and Sea Scouts also can learn new skills from their units and make good instructors. A lot of ships and crews specialize in one field, like, for example, backpacking. If you have a youth in a backpacking crew, they can come back to your Scouts BSA troop and serve as an instructor because they'll have a lot more backpacking experience than potentially other youth in the troop. And then finally, there are some misconceptions about advancement. I won't dive into those too much, but in short, youth dual registered in units can work on advancement in both programs. And if you have any specific questions, the guide to advancement is always a good resource. That's all I have, and I'll pass it on to Mr. Avey.
Hi, this is Bob Avey. I'm the NST 12 coordinator / advisor. Here to talk to you a little bit about some of the approaches that I use when going out and trying to recruit youth, especially those that are in Scouts BSA units. The first thing that I always do and encourage the youth in our crew to do is look at the eligible youth that they know, those that are in their own troops. My crew is composed of Scouts BSA members from 4 different other Scout troops, 2 girls troops, 2 boys troops. So we look at the eligible youth that are available. Also look at the young adults in some of the units that are around you. Those that have turned 18, they're now an assistant scoutmaster, and they're kind of in that age where they can't really be a leader, and they're looking for something to do a little bit beyond what they can do at that age. I also look at the OA youth. I look at adults because we always need adults along with the youth. I look at the adults who are stepping down from a role and maybe looking to continue but not do the same thing they have been doing. And I'm also fortunate enough that we have a large pool of youth because many in our crew associated with our high school music and arts program. We have the band and the choir to look to for potential youth. When you do that, you have to just ask practically everyone, because I've been accused of that. Someone in our girls troop, assistant scoutmaster, says, do you really ask everybody that you run into to be in your crew? And my simple answer was, yes, that's how you get people. Not asking people is the biggest mistake that we all make. When you start talking to the scout units and you're talking to the scoutmaster, one of the questions you can pose to the scoutmaster is, well, what's in the best interest of the youth for where they're at right now? Is there some challenge that they need, or something that they can be a part of that will get them, maybe their interest is kind of waning a little bit, the activity's going down a little bit, so maybe there's something that we can help to keep that youth in scouting. A lot of the youth have been there and done that with the troop, so maybe it's time for them to step up, as some of the other presenters have talked about, and take that adventure to the next level, because up there you're doing all the planning and the leading of it. It's Scouts BSA, the leadership ends sort of at the unit level, but when you get into venturing, as with the other youth programs, there's leadership beyond that. You have the Council Venturing Officers Association, the Territory Venturing Officers Association, the National Venturing Officers Association. So you're doing networking, leadership, and a lot of socializing beyond the unit level. It may be an opportunity to get youth involved if they're the right age and have the right certifications. They can be part of some of your council committees, your aquatics, your shooting sports, and things like that. For those that aren't aware, some councils, if you are the CVOA president, you do have the opportunity to represent the youth of your council by serving on your executive board. Again, that varies by council, and it may not be the same in every council in the country. And it's preparation for leadership at all levels, at the unit, the district, the council, the territory, and national. And in particular, where youth are concerned, there's a lot of things that happen, especially beyond the unit level. Venturing has a lot of really, really cool, fun activities that happen that are multi-council events. We have the Winterfest that happens every winter down in what was the Southeast region. There's the Greater St. Louis Council has a huge event every fall. So there's things like that. the new older youth program subcamp at the Jamboree that we have, and the Venturing Fest, which happens in the years in between. They're all great ways to experience scouting at a higher level than what you do get to do at a troop. There's a lot of camaraderie in the venturing program. The youth and adults that make venturing happen at the territory and national level, it's less than 100 people. And the really great thing that I like about it is you get to meet all these great youth, all these great advisors from all over the country, and you get to know every one of them. That's something that the other scout programs don't always have. And lastly, I would leave you with the thing that always you have to remind everyone, why should the youth be in venturing? It's to lead the adventure. And now I'll pass it on.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dylan A. I'm the VOA president for NST 7. Due to the challenging nature of adventure and leadership that is found within the venturing program, it itself tends to attract a large sum of generally more experienced youth. This in itself is an advantageous aspect of a venturing crew formed by troops, because while the venturing crew is an independent unit and it does have its own independent activities, more often than not, a venturing crew will be willing to assist in the facilitation of troop activities when needed. What makes this significant? Well, venturing crews are built upon youth that are not only well-trained in leadership and project management skills, but practice these skills often. When combined with their knowledge of scouting skills, a venturing crew built alongside a troop is a formidable program force. Crews can assist your troop by planning and executing merit badge courses, setting up realistic first aid scenarios, guiding scouts through their requirements, or any number of activities that your troop can come up with. By leaning on this support, troops accomplish three things for their units. The first one is that they build a natural pathway of progression for their youth that will increase their scouting tenure by an average of 16.5 months. The second is that they build a strong source of instructors and programs that they can call upon at any needed time. And the third is that they assist in the growth of both of the programs simultaneously. Oftentimes, I get questions about how venturing crews executing activities accomplishes all three. So I brought in one of my favorite scouting anecdotes from my council to illustrate. About 2 years ago, I ran into a venturer who went to a leadership training program known as NAIL. Part of the NAIL curriculum dictates that he returned to his scouting unit with a goal to improve it. This particular scout decided that his goal would be to organize and execute a merit badge university course for his troop. As he worked on improving this goal, he expanded it into a continuous program that had his venturing crew teach a merit badge to his troop every month. The first class that he ran was attended by about 40% of the troop, with only a handful of the members actually following through with their merit badge counselor and getting the sign-offs on their blue card to complete the merit badge. Fast forward to 3 months later, and the merit badge class was being consistently one of the most attended troop meetings, with over 60% of the scouts in attendance and a plethora of scouts completing their merit badges. This program hits every bullet point above and illustrates perfectly what a symbiotic relationship between a venturing crew and a troop should look like. For starters, the natural progression of youth came in, as during this time, the venturer reported that he had a lot of youth inquire about joining venturing and actually recruited one of them. As for the second part, the troop knew that it had a reliable source of program once every month that would be well instructed, fun, and beneficial to all of the youth in attendance. Finally, both the troop and the crew experienced an influx in participation, with troop involvement going up over 20% and the crew involvement increasing as a result of the venturers' need to execute the program for their troops. With that, I'll be handing it off.
Thank you, Dylan, and thank you, Bob and Reese, for also participating before. My name is Eric Mearso. I am the NST 5 Venturing Coordinator. And as Bob and a few others have stated before, venturing is a program that is allowing youth to continue to stay in the venturing program past the Scouts BSA. As Scouts BSA ends at the age of 18, we want to continue having the Scouts continue on. As you just listened to Dylan's experience there, as they're giving more unit program back to their troops, This is a good example as you have those scouts giving other unit program back to their Scouts BSA or other units below if they're interested in that. But this also gives those opportunity for the venturing youth to continue just having fun in the program. We want the units and the youth to have fun in the program and to continue in the scouting program as they are helping just be better leaders in the world. Youth leading the program is one of the other main things. As Bob was stating about the CVOAs, the district VOAs, the territory VOAs, and the national VOA, there is a lot of youth leadership. There are very few youth that actually have the different gold loops, the silver loops, or whatever, but that doesn't mean that they're targets on their back. These are youth that are actually leading the program, helping to represent and helping to actually lead great events that are out there. As Bob stated, like the Fall Fun Rally is the Greater St. Louis area event, and Winterfest is the event that's happening down in the southeast, the southeast region. And those two events are being run by venturing youth. Those events are managed and run by different events that are helping to plan either slip and slide kickball or whatever type of events. And those events are ones that the youth are helping to lead and make sure events are happening. If something's not happening, such as at the Fall Fun Rally, if there's something not happening, there's other youth that are coming back and stepping in to say, well, maybe slip and slide kickball didn't happen. We're going to go and make this event now happen as well. So you have youth actually doing a lot of great leadership into the program. Now, events are one thing, but there's other different events that you can have out there, other activities that these youth are also helping to lead. Something, and one of our units that I help participate in is we do a lot of super activities. We go to our local venturing summer camp, the St. Louis area, Swift base, for a few years, but we also take our youth on a few other adventures because they want to go and also do other activities. So the choices that they've done in the past few years is going out to Utah and canyons, such as in Arizona, the Grand Canyon. Utah, they went up canyon. So the youth actually planned which canyons they were going to, which food, how they were going to travel out there, what they were going to do on the travel. That was one adventure. Fest. Venturing Fest was another one back in 2018. The youth had to plan getting a contingent together. Getting that contingent together, they had to plan getting everybody involved, then what other adventures they were going to be going. Because from where our location is, we have a day stop that we had to go to. So we had to go from one stop to another, and then we had to go on a day stop back. So like one of the day stops is we stopped at the West Virginia state capitol. We stayed a night over in West Virginia. On our way back, we actually went to one of the caves in Tennessee, and we did mud caving in the Tennessee caverns. So we also went to Venturing Fest, had that adventure there, but then we also had adventures going to the Venturing Fest and also back. Philmont is another one that we've also done. We've done those as well as with the summit going to Venturing Fest. But the other one, as I have up there, is the European trip. Our venturing crew right now is in the process of actually planning going to Europe in 2024. They are right now taking the adventure and getting all the steps together of one, fundraising, because that is a very expensive trip, and figuring out the expenses those are going to be. And then how can they get those expenses down to a reasonable level? So you have the youth going and talking with the adults, figuring out their budget. So you're doing the budget planning and making sure that budget planning process is in the right area so the youth do not get charged too much. And then they're also looking at, okay, what adventures are going to be those fun adventures as they go over to Europe? So right now what their plan is they're looking at going over to Great Britain. And as they were looking at going over to Great Britain, they said, well, we want to also go over to Paris. We want to go over and see the Paris area. We want to see the Eiffel Tower. We want to go through the Channel. And we want to look at that stuff. So they're planning those adventures through that route of those, what they could possibly do. As they're doing that, that is giving them possible future planning activities as they're doing big projects like this. So this is giving them good examples of project planning, as like Dylan and Reese had stated, of other project planning, of project management, of here's what we're needing to do on budgets. Here's what we're needing to do on getting from point A to point B to point C, making sure those plans are all correctly so we can get everybody over, have fun, and then back safely. But these adventures are other adventures that possibly down in the road in the future, they can also do other planning for their own families as they plan for the future, for their own life, that if they go off to Europe, well, now I know how to do the European trip because I've done this past. If I want to go do a canyon adventure, I know what I need to do. So this is giving these youth great examples for future activities that they don't might need to be doing in the future outside of scouting. And that's what we're trying to do, is lead the adventure for the future. And now I'm going to pass this back over to Caitlin.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you, everyone, actually, for taking time out of your evening tonight and being able to join us for this webinar. I would also like to thank Ryan Mitchell, as far as with the whole streaming process of everything and being able to put everything together for tonight. And I would also like to thank my lovely presenters. Thank you so much, guys, for being able to work with me and Liz to be able to get this stuff together. And I really, really do appreciate it. So if you guys have any questions by chance, here is the email that you'd be able to send them to, and hopefully within due time, we'd be able to reach out to you guys with the answers that you have requested. And I will leave the slide up for a little bit, that way so you guys can either take a picture or screenshot or somehow type all of this down. But any questions, please feel free to email us and we will be back with you guys soon. Thank you and have a good evening.